What's up, Canes fans? Peter Ariz here with CanesInsight.com, and yet another commitment for the Hurricanes. Today, a 2026 prospect, and the Canes may have gotten their quarterback for the class, as Dereon Coleman out of Orlando Jones has committed to Miami, a guy who recently camped in Coral Gables, got to throw in front of Hurricanes coaches, including offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Shannon Dawson. They came away very impressed with his arm talent. There were some other highly rated guys for his class there throwing as well. Coleman is a guy, again, out of the Orlando area. Miami's had a ton of success there as of late, which historically has not always been the case. And D-Money is going to be joining me in just a moment here to break down this commitment. Wanted to shout out our sponsors at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. And once again, this is a guy with a ton of arm talent, rated right now as the number 19 quarterback for his class, according to 247 Sports. He is the number 302 ranked player. So just outside of the top 300 there for his class overall, but a very exciting talent. Not the biggest guy in the world, but those who have been around him, have worked with him, say one of the best arm talents, not only in his class, but out of the state of Florida in a few years here. So going to be excited to see him continue to develop, now going into his junior season. But coming up next year, D-Money will bring us the latest on this commitment, and he gives his thoughts on what he's going to bring to the table for the Canes. All right, joined now by D-Money, as the Miami Hurricanes have landed another commitment, this time in the 2026 class. And it's a big one because it's the quarterback position, D. Dereon Coleman out of the Orlando area. Very, very talented one here. What do you see with Dereon Coleman?
Yeah, it's 2026, and the game has changed, right? Because we're sitting here. It is July 2024, but you're still looking at the class of 2026 because quarterbacks is only one of them. Those spots fill up quickly. It's musical chairs, and most of the top ones are off the board. Miami wanted to make sure they got someone they targeted and believed in, committed early, and they did with Dereon Coleman. I saw him briefly at a UM camp. I was only there for the first part of the camp, but was able to see kind of the dimensions, see how the ball came out of his hands. Quick impression, this is a guy where the ball, there you see him with Coach Cristobal. He's a guy where the ball just jumps off his hand naturally, the release. Everything about the way he throws is fluid and natural. This is somebody who, as a sophomore, went to Orlando Jones, one of the top programs in Central Florida, 10-4 record, semifinals of the Florida 3M playoffs. Trevor Jackson, who ended up at Florida State, was an Elite 11 quarterback, was supposed to be the guy there, getting a lot of hype going into the year. Some people wanted Miami to recruit him. Dereon Coleman ended up putting him on the bench, was clearly the better quarterback of those two, even though he's just a small sophomore. 63% passing, 2,236 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 6 INTs. Also ran for 4. And seeing him in person, the physical comp, just the way they look, reminds me of Bryce Young, because he is small and he is slight. He is about that Bryce Young size, but has very, very long arms. Talking about like a 6'3", 6'4" person's arms, plus huge hands to grip the ball effortlessly, as you can see on these clips. That's one of the reasons why he grips it and rips it and releases it so fast. So I think those two attributes allow him to play up. You watch the throws he's making here, the quick reads he's making against good comp, and Bryce Young was the first pick of the draft, Heisman Trophy winner. Not saying that's going to be the outcome, but if you're looking for a model for an undersized quarterback who makes up for it in other ways, I think that's what you're looking at with Dereon Coleman.
Yeah, arm talent is the number one thing for me that sticks out of here, how effortless that release is. And again, we're a couple years away here, right? Because he's a 2026 kid, D. So you have a lot to work with, a lot to mold here with the talent like Dereon Coleman.
Yeah, no question. He'll get stronger. Again, the frame was not huge, but he will get stronger. But look at the velocity right there. He is somebody where velocity, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Darius taking a huge hit and dropping a dime down the field. So the toughness is there. Again, he's used to facing elite competition. He's at Orlando Jones. Is where Miami got Malik Bryant after he transferred from IMG. There you see him throwing on the run. He's mobile. And it's really just the pure throwing ability. Balin Trujillo, who we had on the podcast like 5 years ago, his
more longer than that, D. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, it was even before that.
He's been coaching quarterbacks up there forever, and he says this guy's got the best arm talent that anybody's ever coached, hands down. And this is, somebody who's not even starting their junior year yet. So the arm gets you excited. The production, the fact he beat out an Elite 11 quarterback as a senior tells you what he can do on the field. His team won. You see the highlights. You see the throws, all kinds of throws. He could throw it deep. He could layer it over the linebackers. He can drive it when he needs to. He has tremendous touch on those fades and everything smooth and easy on the release. Interesting, the way that the quarterback position has been recruited since Cristobal got here, it's not that consistent in terms of the prototype, right? You have Jaden Rashada, who ultimately decommitted, but was your standard blue chip California QB, 6'4", great arm talent. You get Emory, who's very much kind of your old school Miami quarterback as far as decision-making and accuracy being his main traits, big guy, but not having the dynamic arm or dynamic athleticism. Then you get Judd Anderson, who's really kind of the opposite, super athletic, super big, good arm, but the polish is what's lacking there, the experience at quarterback. Then you go Luke Nickel for the class of 2025, was a consummate winner, polished, Elite 11 quarterback, instant coffee, doesn't have great standout traits like Judd Anderson, but has the high floor and the production. And then Dereon Coleman, who I guess is closer to a Luke Nickel in terms of being productive and being proven, probably more athletic, probably more pure arm talent, little slider. So again, I'm not seeing a pattern. Look at that improvisational play right there, kind of doing the Brett Favre flick in the end zone. I'm not seeing a pattern with Miami's quarterback recruiting. So it's going to be interesting to see who emerges from the group as the one that hit.
Yeah, and I think interesting in those highlights, obviously he has the ability to use his legs, but it looks like he's moving to throw and downfield and to extend the play, right? So I really do like that aspect about him. He's not running around recklessly out there because, like we said, he doesn't have the biggest frame, which I don't necessarily worry about that much, as long as he's, the offense is obviously used, to the best of his strengths there. But I'm going to pull up some clips here from Canes County. Shout out to them. They tweeted this footage out from the Camp D, and you see kind of what we're talking about in terms of that effortless release, kind of the flick of the wrist there. And as he continues to tighten some of those mechanics up at the next level, it's going to be scary.
Yeah, and he was there with Tate Reynolds, who's probably going to go to Clemson, a super athletic kid from Arizona, baseball player, high-level baseball player, 6'4", rocked up. I mean, looks like an NFL quarterback physically. And Michael Clayton from Central Florida as well, but a bigger quarterback, your more traditional pocket size. He's someone who's going to be a Power 4 player. So he was next to two Power 4 players, and he was, from what I'm told, clearly the best passer at that event. Also did well at the 7-on-7 the week before. So Miami's seen him against other quarterbacks that are ranked in the same tier, and they've come away with a favorable impression of Coleman from how he performed. Again, we mentioned he beat out an Elite 11 quarterback to even get the starting job as a sophomore. So all those things are good. You mentioned his ability to elude and make plays outside the pocket, looking to throw. I think his hands, which again are jumbo hands for his size, allows him to just kind of grip the ball and run around. A guy like Ryan Tannehill, who was a great athlete but didn't have those big hands, he was either throwing it or he was tucking the ball and running it. Coleman is able to manipulate the ball and just kind of move around without having to make a decision as far as the throwing or the running. I think that's Hilton Stubbs there, Pete.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
You're getting so many commits here this week. We're getting confused between Hilton Stubbs, Drake Stubbs, potentially.
I pulled up the media on him, and that came up, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, forgive you. So Drake Stubbs potentially on July 4th. Coleman, obviously right here. Gavin Nix. A lot of big names we're talking about here. Dereon Coleman, the only 2026 name, but you need that quarterback. You see him training here. Look at him, drifting, but just again, the flick of the wrist. You see the hand
driving
size.
And drives the ball.
Here you go. At Camping World Stadium. So this is the big football stadium in Orlando. He's out there performing. You see him with a man in his face, just chucking the ball down the field. The size is going to be the big question with him. Can he put on the necessary weight? But again, the ideal comp would be a Bryce Young. You put the good offensive line in front of him. Bryce Young didn't really have the offensive line he thought he was going to have, but certainly some size. Miami wants to do that and build a elite offensive line around Coleman. I'm told that he's very good demeanor for dealing with receivers. That was one thing Miami liked about him. He has an edge to him that they think could work when you're talking about talented guys like the JoJo Traders and the Nikars of the world and sort of commanding that room. They think he has that kind of personality, from what I am told. One of the reasons they liked him, obviously he took control of that Jones team as a young player with more experienced players ahead of him. So all of these things make him Miami's quarterback prospect. He's a top 20 quarterback nationally, right in that 300 range. The only reason that he's not higher up, again, is the size. So it'll be interesting to see how the body develops, how the team develops around him, and what kind of season Coleman has in Orlando. Miami continues to make inroads in Central Florida, right? Orlando Jones, Orlando Edgewater for Jalen Wilkerson. You had Demetrius Campbell from private school in Orlando. You had Sanford Seminole for Max Buchanan. Gavin Nix, originally from Orlando before going to IMG. So a lot of Central Florida ties to this class and the next. It's an area where Miami is starting to really get some momentum. It's an area where you want to keep the Gators out, keep the Noles out, because there is premium talent in the area. Of course, Dereon Coleman, top 20 quarterback in the country, fits that bill.
Yeah, and like we said, he's still a 2026 prospect, so a lot of time for that body to continue to develop, put some good weight on that frame. And again, took over midway through the year last year. So I would expect now, with an entire off season, right? We talk about it at, at the college and the professional level all the time, but for him now going into the year, knowing he's the man, would expect his film to be really exciting this year.
Yeah, I would love to see some big numbers from Dereon Coleman. Again, Miami choosing him over some very talented options in state. This is a premium year of Florida quarterbacks. We talk about Will Griffiths going to Florida from Tampa, Brady Hart from Cocoa going to Michigan, Noah Grubbs from the Orlando area going to Notre Dame. Just a lot of talent in the area. And again, Dereon Coleman being one of those names. Diabell, who's going to Texas from American Heritage. These are big-time schools coming to South Florida to get their quarterbacks of the future. Miami, no different, going to Orlando to get Dereon Coleman. Might see his jersey one day hanging up in Caneswear next to Restrepo and Ward and all the other jerseys they have. So Caneswear, caneswear.com. If you're a Miami sports fan, you want to get geared up for the summer, easy click, caneswear.com. Link is in the bio. You can just write it up. They got deals going on every single day. Plus, if you're a Florida sports fan, beyond just the Canes, Florida Panthers championship gear, Miami Heat, get some offseason fever, Miami Marlins, of course, the Miami Dolphins, they have it all at Caneswear. And soon they may have that Dereon Coleman jersey hanging in the rafters, because he's somebody who, if the right team is around him, the arm talent is there to really make some special stuff happen, because it's very fluid and natural. I think with Emory Williams, the knock I'd say on him was the way he threw just doesn't seem very natural. This is a guy who, talk to anybody around him, including his trainer, who's trained all these top Florida guys and has been doing this for a while, the best arm talent that he has ever been around in many, many years in the business.
Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We come at you every day, Monday through Friday, with Canes Insight Daily. And then, of course, bringing you all the instant analysis when there are commitments as well. And CanesInsight.com, completely free to sign up. Join the discussion, largest community of Canes fans on the internet.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.
This an insight to the Canes, and you know we ain't playing no games. Joaquin said dominate, so that's what we do. Home of the legends and 7th floor crew. Down in Miami where hurricanes brew. You here for the rumors, we bring you the news. Cause it's all about the you. And nobody do it like Canes Insight. Nobody do it like Canes Insight. Nobody do it like Canes.